Everybody, welcome back to another edition of 30 Teams in 30 Days here on Inside the Zone with Mateo. So glad you decided to click on this video, and as always, I hope you will be entertained. My name is Mateo, for those who do not know, and I host all the podcasts here on the channel. We normally cover Minnesota sports. Well, today we are talking about Minnesota sports, but we normally cover the four major sports, so the Twins, the Vikings, the Timberwolves, and the Wild. But in June, I said, we're going to take a stop from that, and we're going to give all these fans from every NBA team one video for their team. We're going to take a look into each NBA team through the month of June every single day, posting every single day. We've not missed one yet. 21 straight days. Looking at one team every single day. There's 30 teams in the NBA, 30 days in the month of June. I just thought it works better. It just works the best. And boys, I'm super hyped because we finally have got my team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves, boys, it's time. It's time. What we do here, we'll talk about it. We take a deep dive through every NBA team during the month of June. It's an off-season preview. We recap their season. We take a look at, who I think they should sign as a free agent or trade. And given, if you've been in the news in the NBA, Minnesota's been linked to almost every single star. We're going to have some fun today, boys. But first, here's a quick look at the schedule. As you can see, we go from worst record to best. We started with the Wizards. We end with the Thunder. We're on day 21 here on June 21st, 2026. We got the Timberwolves. We got the Rockets tomorrow, followed by the Cavs, Knicks, Lakers, Nuggets, Celtics, Pistons, Spurs, and Thunder. And then we are done. We got a big X on the left side of the screen because we don't care about that anymore because we've done it all. And if you want to see some of these other videos, there's going to be a playlist linked, into the description, I'm pretty sure, so you can find that out. But anyway, Mateo Show batting order. We'll get into this for a second, and then we'll get into the full thing. But, if you're a fan of this podcast, sorry, guys, I'm super hyped. I'm super hyped. If you're a fan of this podcast, you know what this is. Mateo Show batting order, a roadmap we use every single, a roadmap type of thing that we use every single episode, no matter what we're covering. It just kind of gives you a nice little idea of where we're going, where this car is going. Are we going right here, or are we going straight? Are we even going backwards? There's 5 things on the batting order every single 30 teams in 30 days episode. It's the same 5 things. How well did they do last season? Who they should draft, who they should keep, who they should target, and what is their early ceiling and floor. And my brothers, it is time. It is time. I've been waiting. I have been waiting since we started this series to talk about my Minnesota Timberwolves. So let's do it, boys. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. We got it. The 25-26 season sure was disappointing. But boys, it's the Timberwolves. We're here. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. I gotta chill. Excuse me. Let me take a quick break. All right, we're ready. The Minnesota Timberwolves were 49-33 last season. They were the 6th seed in the Western Conference. Their top scorer, as always, Anthony Edwards. Top assister was Julius Randle, and top rebounder was Rudy Gobert. They currently actually do hold a first-round pick in the 2026 draft. It is, I believe, the 28th overall pick, but we'll get more on that in a little bit later. But before we talk a little bit draft and off-season, we'd like to kind of recap some stuff. And you know what I didn't do? Because I was so hyped? I didn't pull up the stats, the player stats. So pardon me while I quick do this. I don't know why I didn't do this. Guys, I'm telling you, it's a weird day. It's a freaking weird day, but I'm just happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Here we go, full team stats. I apologize. That's postseason stats, boys. Now we got the regular season, and bam, there we go. Okay, here we go. It's loading. It's all right. We're chilling. I'm sorry. Anthony Edwards, 28.8 points. Almost averaged 30 points. In the 2025-2026 season, he was your team leader. He played 61 games, so he was one game shy of being qualifiable for All-NBA. Unfortunately, got snubbed. I think he was having an MVP type of season before he got injured, unfortunately. But yeah, he just couldn't seem to stay healthy. But on the adding on to the 28.8 points, he also had 5 rebounds and 3.7 assists for his averages. He was also the Timberwolves steal leader at 1.4 steals per game. He also almost averaged a block per game, which is actually kind of fire for a shooting guard. Obviously, his turnovers a little bit more than we would all want, but it is what it is. Julius Randle, the next best player, if you will. I don't really know. Y'all know how much I hate on Julius Randle, but yeah, in 79 games played, it was kind of crazy. He was able to stay healthy in 79 games played. He averaged 21.1 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 5 assists on the penny. Jaden McDaniels, in 73 games played in the regular season, 14.8 points. I feel like that's kind of a down year for Jaden McDaniels. Gives me just saying, like, I feel like he should average like 16 to 17 points per game, but a little less at 14.8 points. He did struggle with a little injuries, to only played 73 games, but still. He was fairly healthy. He also averaged 4.2 rebounds and 2.7 assists. I would assume he'll play 24 games with the Minnesota Timberwolves after being traded at the trade deadline. 14.4 points during the regular season, but obviously we know what he kind of took off in the postseason. But in that time also, he averaged 4.2 rebounds and 3.5 assists, so he was contributing all around. Naz Reid, 13.6 points per game in 77 games played, 6.2 rebounds, and 2.2 assists. Dante DiVincenzo played all 82 games before tearing his Achilles in the playoffs. Unfortunately, we all know that happened. Definitely changed the whole Timberwolves season, but he averaged 12.2 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, and 3.8 assists. The primary point guard before Ayo Dosunmu stepped onto the court. You got Rudy Gobert, averaged 11 points per game, 11.5 rebounds, and 1.7 assists. So he averaged a double-double for another time in his career. Bones Highland really locked in for the Timberwolves. Sure, only 8.5 points, but he was so valuable to this team. 1.8 rebounds and 2.6 assists. Kind of a quiet but very impactful year for Bones Highland. Shannon didn't actually really get to play much quality time until the postseason, so we can ignore his 5.6 points per game. And then again, Mike Conley, Johan Berger, they just didn't play enough times to be, I can't give them enough, right? So with that being said, that's kind of a look at here the stats. And as I wanted to draw out already, Jaden McDaniels probably should have scored more. And it's obviously something I feel like he should definitely work on in the offseason. And if he can bump those numbers up to even 5 or 6 more points per game, you make him maybe be an 18 to 20 point scorer every night or almost every night. I do think this team is much better, and I do think not the biggest reason, but a key reason why the Timberwolves did not maybe succeed as much as they could have in the regular season. Only winning 49 games. This team couldn't win 50 plus games for sure. Obviously, Anthony Edwards getting injured was a big thing. Julius Randle not showing up half the season was a big thing. But Jaden McDaniels, his offensive game definitely took a step back. And obviously, his defense has been awesome. His offense definitely kind of started to show up a little bit in the playoffs. So definitely trying to fix that offense, because he's kind of that third option. Some might even say second option because Julius Randle wasn't showing up a majority of the year. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm not gonna nitpick too much because we'll have time for that when we're trading our whole team. Basically, there's a foreshadowing of what's maybe to come. But yeah, I would assume I love that accusation, and I'm gonna continue to speak on it. You gotta re-sign him. He's a free agent this year. You have to. If you don't re-sign him, it's going to be definitely unfortunate. It maybe more than unfortunate. It's going to be very, 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 very disappointing, especially with Dante DiVincenzo. Most likely, he's going to miss the entire season. With that Achilles injury, it looks like a year recovery time, 10 months. So that would put him out until the postseason. Yeah, I mean, the Timberwolves probably should make the postseason next year, but still, then he wouldn't have played in over a year. And you never know what might happen. But that's something to, think about here. And I'm saying, if you don't re-sign Ayo Dosunmu, again, we'll talk about this in a little bit, you're left with Bones Highland being your only point guard. So I'm just saying. I like Bones, but he's not a starting point guard. He's a backup point guard. Naz Reid, I think, definitely could have done more. He really did. Okay, here's the thing. The Timberwolves, I just want to make this clear and then we'll move on. I want to make this clear. The Timberwolves, for some reason, just don't play competitive basketball until the playoffs. They just sleep their way through the season. Literally, it's the same old. Like, this is 2 straight years they've ended up as the 6th seed when they could have been the 3rd seed. I think they even could have caught up with the San Antonio Spurs. Maybe not the Thunder just because of the refs, but the Spurs, there were times where they were struggling without Wemby. And if the Timberwolves would have just beaten teams like the Kings and the Blazers and the Hawks, they just lose to these teams early in the season that those losses always, they lose to the Pelicans, the Grizzlies. Those losses always end up hurting them. So that's my big thing. If you don't make any moves, which again, I think they're going to make more than one move, but if you don't make any moves, you gotta be ready, Finch. You gotta say, we're competing from day one. We're not sleeping. We're taking every game as serious as it's game 6 of the conference finals, or game 7 of the conference finals, or game 7 of the finals, because you cannot, bro, like, you literally lost yourself home court advantage because of some of those losses. The Western Conference is going to be so tight. It was tight last year. It was tight 2 years ago. It's going to be tight again. Actually, I'm going to say it's going to be more competitive because of teams like the Jazz, teams like the Mavericks, Blazers, Suns. They're all going to be more competitive. I'd even say the Golden State Warriors are going to be more competitive. Maybe the Clippers, depending on what they do with the Kawhi situation. The Western Conference is going to be so competitive that you have to win those little games. So if you don't make any moves, which again, I do think they're going to make moves, but if you don't, or maybe you just make some small moves, not big moves, like the big moves I'm thinking about, you have to be able to capitalize. And even if you make those big moves, you have to take every game serious. This team, I might be biased. I don't care. I don't have people talking about the Timberwolves on national TV. I don't care. They're talking about the Spurs, their Wemby, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Lakers. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a team capable of winning 60-plus games. The only reason they never do is because they take these stupid losses to teams that aren't as talented as them. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a top 5 team in the NBA in my opinion. You know, maybe I take the Thunder, the Knicks, just because they won the championship, the Spurs, because they're younger, they have more depth. Maybe the Celtics. And then I got the Timberwolves. Those are my top 5 teams in the NBA, and I would defend those probably with my life. But the one thing, the reason why this team is always not talked about and just kind of forgotten about until the postseason is because they don't try. This team won 49 games. 49 games when they could have easily won 55 plus. I'd even say 60. Because there's been at least 10 games that they let get away. Sure, I'll let you get 2 of those away. You had 8 wins to 49 wins, or maybe even 7 wins to 49 wins. 56 or 57 win season completely changes your view on this season. But it is what it is. And now we get to speculate a little bit more here as we go into the next section, which will, of course, be the draft section. Now, I didn't realize, I realized we had a pick, but it's kind of a garbage pick. Just got to be honest. I believe, the 28th overall pick? We'll go through a mock draft. I don't think they trade up. I don't even know if they use their pick because there's been rumors that people want that pick if they're going to trade like Julius Randle or something like that. So I don't know if they're going to end up having this pick, and we're 2 days from the draft. By the way, I'm recording some of these episodes ahead of time, so I apologize. I'm afraid, before I even release this video on June 21st, it's June 19th right now, there's going to be a trade, and I'm gonna look like a fool, but it is what it is. Just know this is before the draft. I have no idea what's going to happen, but let's just start this draft. We'll go to the T-Wolves. Where are we at, T-Wolves? Yeah, dude, this new video. This new logo is fire, by the way. Hold up. What happened? Why did Darius Acuff fall to 10? Devonta Peterson, Boozer. Okay, Caleb Wilson, Flemings. Okay, actually, never mind. It's not as bad as I thought it was. This Acuff falling is crazy. A Damar going to the Thunder, bro. Oh my gosh. Oh, bro. Koa Pete's still on the board. Let's see if he. Oh, dude. Koa Pete, dude. Imagine Koa Pete falling all the way down to 28. He fell to 27, bro. Okay, here's the thing for the T-Wolves. If Koa Pete's available at 27, don't let the Celtics take him. Trade up. Trade up. Give them all your seconds. I believe you have a couple seconds. You have a second. Do your second. Maybe throw in a couple seconds from next year and trade up to 27 and grab Koa Pete. But in this meantime here, you could go Henry, but you have a lot of big men with Barrett J, Rocco Zakarski. I really do think you go guard. Christian Anderson probably makes the most sense here. But again, I don't really care much about this draft. Of all years, Timberwolves, you don't need a draft. You need to get players to win now around Anthony Edwards. And I don't know if Christian Anderson will do that. But I mean, I don't hate Christian Anderson falling from 21, I think is his projected spot, to 28. That's pretty chill. Again, Koa Pete, if he falls, that's cool. Out of these all of these people, I feel like Kareem Lopez, Heinz Steinbeck could be the ones that could fall. Maybe Cameron Carr, but other than that, you're gonna be with one of these guys. You're gonna be left with one of these guys. So, I mean, again, I just really don't care about the draft. And sorry, Wolves fans, there's just more to speculate. I'm not gonna spend time talking about the draft when we're going to talk about other things. So, moving on here, we got the start of free agency because we do split free agency into two separate sections. The first half is like we take a look at the team's own free agents, who I think they should re-sign, who I think they should let walk. And then the second half is where we speculate signings and trades and stuff. So, the first half here is a little quicker. As a list here, there's all their free agents, the Minnesota Timberwolves free agents. Let me grab the pen out quick. Bam. Ayo Dosunmu, of course, at the top of your list, you have to. I'm telling you, you guys have to re-sign Ayo Dosunmu. If they don't re-sign Ayo Dosunmu and they don't end up with another superstar next to Anthony Edwards, I might freak out. Ayo Dosunmu has to come back. We saw what he's capable of. And I don't care. Ayo Dosunmu, stop saying you're open to being traded or signing back with the Bulls, because I saw that the other day and it's freaking me out. All of this speculation here on X is saying, hey, let me see if I can pull some of this stuff up. It's all saying, oh, Ayo Dosunmu wants to sign back with the Bulls or somewhere else. I'm like, where did this come from? No, he's supposed to stay back with the Timberwolves. What is going on here? Let me just search up Ayo Dosunmu. Where are we at here? Come on. Oh my gosh. Here it is. Bam. Ayo Dosunmu, quote, is open to returning to the Chicago Bulls. I know Ayo from my conversations with him this summer would be open to returning to Chicago. Why the heck would you say that? No. Here's the thing here. Look, Wolves After Dark gets this 100% right. Go follow Wolves After Dark. They're an amazing Twitter account or X account. Timberwolves offseason so far. No Giannis yet. No Kyrie yet. No Kawhi yet. Might lose Ayo. Fake rumors about John Morant. Finch and Tim Conley are walking around Minneapolis discussing a larger role for Julius Randle. Literally, this was coming up 15 hours ago. So it was about June 18th when this post came out. And all these news came out about Ayo and people wanting to keep Julius Randle. I was looking forward to this offseason. Now I am dreading it. Because that GIF says it all from Chris Finch. I mean, it's not what he's doing right now, but that's how we're feeling. Holy cow. If we lose Ayo and get Ja Morant, I might freak out, and we keep Randle. Holy cow, bro. This has just turned into something that I have no idea what's going on. I'm glad I'm going away for a week. This week, actually, by the time you're seeing this video, I'm actually gone. I'm out of camp. I'm serving somewhere else. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be unplugged for a week. I'm glad, because I don't want to have to worry about this. And then I can just come back to all of it at once and say, what the heck just happened, and forget about it. But oh my gosh, what is going on, Timberwolves? What are you doing? But you guys have to. You have to re-sign Ayo. If you don't re-sign Ayo, all right, let's take a breath. He's still here. He's still here for the time being. But yeah, number one priority. He has to. But let's just make sure you guys understand that. Big square. Big circle. Ayo Dosunmu, number one priority. Joe Ingles, we know he's not going back. He's actually going to play, I think, in Australia. So we can forget about Joe Ingles. Bones Highland, I think you should bring him back for sure. If you can bring him back for fairly cheap, you have the cap space. Julian Phillips, I think you take his club option. Mike Conley, it kind of just depends on how much he wants. If he wants a veteran league minimum, yes. I'm going to put just a kind of straight line because it's kind of depending on situations. Enrique Freeman, I think you can get him back on a two-way deal. Jalen Clark, I think you can get him back on a cheap deal as well. And then Kyle Anderson, like kind of in the same boat as Mike Conley. Like, depending on how much money if they want like under $1 million or like $1 million, like a veteran league minimum or something like that, I'll do that just for veterans because you need veterans in a mix with Anthony Edwards and all these younger guys. So you do need veterans. But again, if it's costing too much, then no, right? But I think out of these guys, I would assume was your complete, like it's not even close. Like he has to be your number one. I think Bones Highland's your number two. And then the rest of these guys are kind of like, if you have cap space, I think the club option on Julian Phillips is an easy one to pick up of. I really do like Julian Phillips. And then I think they'll try to keep Jalen Clark around. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Enrique Freeman. But yeah, I mean, it's all about Ayo. It's literally all about Ayo. If you don't re-sign Ayo, you're done. You're absolutely done. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But now, we get to spend the rest of the time talking and speculating because, I like to speculate about my team. We've been hearing all the rumors. The target list is going to be massive because there's going to be a bunch of targets from free agency and trade targets here on the next slide. And bam, a lot of targets. Number one, though. Again, making sure you guys get this. Ayo has to be re-signed. He is your number one target. By the way, the order of these except Ayo doesn't matter of like number of importance. I just listed a bunch of names then as they came to my mind. All right. Ayo Dosunmu, though, has to be your number one target. If you don't get Ayo, though, there is another guy in free agency that I wouldn't mind you picking up. Kobe White, again, another former Bull. He's, I think, in Charlotte now. He might go back to Charlotte. I don't know. I think Kobe White could be interesting, especially if you can get him for fairly cheap. I definitely want Ayo more, but I wouldn't mind Kobe White. Actually, I wouldn't mind getting them both either. And that would be a very interesting tandem of guards for you to have in your back pocket. So yeah, you could get Kobe White in free agency. You could re-sign Ayo Dosunmu, but of course, there's the trade targets. Giannis, Kyrie, Ja, Jamal Murray, Trae Young. I forgot to add Kawhi, but we can talk about Kawhi as well. Should we just rip the Band-Aid off and do number one? All right, guys. Again, I'm sorry if a trade happens and this video comes out and I look like a fool, but it is what it is. Giannis is the number one trade target right now everywhere. We're just waiting. It's getting annoying at this point. Like, when is he going to get traded? We've just been waiting, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen now. It's a little frustrating, but what would the Timberwolves have to give up? Well, we actually got some reports that the Bucks want a certain package that would include Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, Terrence Shannon Jr., and I think some picks for Giannis, which people are saying, oh, we can't get rid of Jaden and Naz and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It is Giannis Antetokounmpo, a top 10 player in the NBA. You get him for at least 2 more years. That is prime. That is like prime championship contending. Giannis and Anthony Edwards, I guarantee if that happens, I guarantee a championship in the next 5 years. Guarantee it. And I might be crazy, but y'all saw what Damian Lillard and Giannis did. Imagine Anthony Edwards and Giannis. Obviously, we need everybody to stay healthy, but imagine Edwards and Giannis with a bunch of solid role players around them, which sure, you make a case where you lose all your role players, but guess what? If the Giannis trade happens, I don't think Rudy stays here, and I don't think Julius stays here. That's why I said if a Giannis trade happens, we're probably trading our whole team, which is okay with me. Because if it's a championship for Anthony Edwards, that's all I care about at this matter. Because Edwards is frustrated. It's obvious from that playoff series against the Spurs. You cannot win a championship with Julius Randle and some of the other players. I do respect Rudy. I don't want to give up Rudy, but if it's Giannis and Rudy on the same floor would be awful for spacing-wise, and it just makes sense to get rid of him. And I do think you could also trade him to Charlotte, who's hungry for a center. I think Rudy's price is very high. You could get more picks that you could throw in to a Giannis deal, which I think could be interesting. So here, let's see if this all works here. First things first, Jaden McDaniels, Nas Reed, Terrence Shannon Jr. is the desired package of players that the Bucks want in return for Giannis. And then I believe the pick in 2026 that we don't really care about. And then a pick in 2032, I believe, is the next one that we can trade. I'm pretty sure. We might have, yeah, it is. Okay. So 2 first-round picks, Jaden McDaniels, Nas Reed, and Terrence Shannon. This would go through. This is what they want, or the Bucks want. Now it's and I guess the Timberwolves say Jaden's untouchable. I don't buy that. I do buy that Johan Jay is untouchable, but I think the only 2 untouchable players in the Timberwolves organization currently are Johan Jay and Anthony Edwards. I do not think Jaden's untouchable. I really don't. I think if you're looking to upgrade, if you're trying to win now, no one can be untouchable except Baron J, because I think he's going to be a legit dog. And then obviously you don't trade Anthony Edwards if you want to win a championship. So this could work straight up. But now, of course, you'd say, well, the Rudy situation, that would not go well. No, it would not. And I tell you, I'm okay trading Rudy if you get Giannis. However, if you get any of the other targets that I have in mind, and all of them are guards, and more specifically point guards, I definitely think you try to keep Rudy Gobert. But Charlotte Hornets, we'll call you up. You guys want Rudy? We'll give you Rudy. So you get Rudy here. We actually are going to take Miles Bridges for the time being. For the time being, we're going to take Miles Bridges. We might end up with him or not. And then I believe we need Trey Mann. And I think Trey Mann can actually go to the Bucks. And then, so Trey Mann, Bridges just to match the salary. And then I do think you can get potentially a pick for this year, which would be like pick 13. But I think it would make more sense since we are getting since Bridges and Mann are also involved in this deal. For the time being, it would be a 2027 pick to the Timberwolves. So you'd get an additional pick back. Maybe you end up then putting that pick in a Giannis deal. I'm not sure. And then I think a 2029 first-round pick would go to the Timberwolves as well. Maybe you say that's too much. I actually don't think it is. Bridges is not coming off a great season. He's still having a pretty good season, but not a great season. Mann is just somebody to fill in that rest of that salary. And I think it could be interesting. I could see a case where Mann ends up with the Timberwolves, but I think in this case, it just makes more sense because of one more move. Because if you get Miles Bridges and Giannis, well, now you have 3 power forwards with Julius Randle, and now Julius Randle, there's a hole there, and you got to trade him. And what makes the most sense, in my opinion, is the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the Dallas Mavericks, which we're tying into the second target, Kyrie Irving. People don't think Kyrie's getting traded. I don't know. I think he could get traded, and I think he will get traded eventually. Maybe not this year, but maybe at the trade deadline. But Kyrie would end up going to the Timberwolves for Julius Randle. I think Randle for Kyrie straight up is actually pretty solid. But in this case here, Randle would go to the Mavericks. I think you could try to say, hey, could you take the injured salary of Dante DiVincenzo? Possibly, possibly not. But I think you would then have to give up a first-round pick. So you're actually getting, again, 2 first-round picks from Charlotte. I'm actually going to flip this 2029 first-round pick to the Dallas Mavericks. So they actually get a first-round pick out of this. So the Mavericks would get that pick. So so I have Charlotte giving up 2 firsts, Bridges and Mann for Rudy Gobert. One of those firsts actually goes to the Mavs. So Julius Randle and a first-round pick for Kyrie Irving. I think it could work. You could also say, hey, what about you include Trey Mann to the Dallas Mavericks? That could work, I believe, financially. And with all this being said, I think everything is almost perfect. It's just the Steven rule. Yeah, perfect. That's awesome. Awesome. Pick 32. Okay. Yes. So it's just because of the Stephen rule. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. Know this, it could work if you include the right players. But here's what we're talking about. So Giannis, Kyrie, Bridges. I do think Bridges could technically get rerouted somewhere else. I don't know where. I don't know if he fits it, but he's also an expiring deal, so that's not the worst thing in the world. But the Timberwolves acquire Antetokounmpo, Kyrie Irving, not Mikal. Miles. Is it Mikal Bridges or Miles Bridges? It is Miles Bridges. My bad. Mikal is with the Knicks. And a first round pick. They give up Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, 2 firsts, Shannon. They that goes to the Bucks. Okay, the Bucks get what they want. The Hornets get a center in who they need, and then the Mavericks get another forward to play with Cooper Flag. They get a point guard in Trey Mann, and they get a first round pick. I could argue that this might be too much for Kyrie Irving, who's aging, who's coming off an injury. So maybe you say, hey, could you take the Dante DiVincenzo salary? Possibly, possibly not. I do see a way where Miles Bridges then gets rerouted, but I do think something like this could work. Obviously, the only thing pushing this trade back is that first round pick in 2032 because of the trade rules. So I would do this. I'm just gonna actually hold up. I can do. Oh wait, here I can do this 2030 pick, I believe, to the Bucks because it's a swap, right? No, it's still the stuff, bro. Okay. At this point here, I just want to see the successful thing. I'm gonna take this 2030 pick out. Note the Bucks would get an additional first round pick. See, it works. I'm just saying it's because of the picks, it's because of the Stephen rule. But call me crazy if this would work. And I don't know if it would be a 4-team trade. I think it would end up being just a bunch of mini trades that would work out something like this. So you probably do the trade for Giannis first. And do that. And then you would say, okay, well, now maybe you could do a 3-team trade with the Wolves, Hornets, and Mavericks. I don't know if it's a 4-team trade, though. 4-team trades are super hard to complete. But I do think this helps everybody. I mean, the Bucks get a young core. The Hornets get their center. The Mavericks get a little younger for Cooper Flag. And then the Wolves just go into win now mode. And obviously, you put this into jeopardy now of, well, Kyrie, Giannis, they're both towards the end of their career, still have a couple years left. But then it could ruin the future of Ant and like Ant's prime in like his 30s. But I say, hey, if it wins you a championship, maybe even 2 championships, I think it's 100% worth it. So that could definitely happen. But then, of course, I have a couple other targets. John Morant. I don't want John Morant, but he's been in all the news, so we're going to do it. Y'all know we're going to do it. Because since it's been in the news, I don't know if this is going to happen. The only person I'm willing to trade John Morant for is Julius Randle because I want Julius Randle off the basketball team. And it's no offense to him as a person. It's just I don't think we can pay you $33 million for you to contribute like that in the postseason, especially. So he'd go to the Grizzlies. We'd get John Morant. We get a point guard. I mean, it's not the flashiest. Like, I don't know how I'd feel about that. But it looks like by the sounds of it, I saw this tweet here that, I saw that there were a report that many Western Conference teams were seeking Julius Randle, actually the injured salary of Dante DiVincenzo and the pick for this year, so pick 28, in exchange for a star that would pair alongside Anthony Edwards. So, I mean, hey, if you're taking the injured salary of Dante DiVincenzo, because his injury really does take a thing. If he's healthy, I'd keep Dante. But if it's actually this for John Morant, I don't hate it. Again, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. This would go through. You save some money to some extent. 2 years left of John Morant. He's a little younger. He gives you a point guard. Who knows what happens? He gets a little bit of a reset. Julius Randle can be that number 1 option maybe for a season before Cam Boozer or something develops. But it's going to be interesting. And maybe in this instance, the Randall experiment actually doesn't work and he gets then rerouted again at the trade deadline. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think out of all the options, I definitely like John Morant the least. But it's definitely an interesting one. And if it is this package of the pick for this year, Randall and DiVincenzo for a star, and I do think this one could work for Kyrie straight up. I think it could work for another guy by the name of Trae Young. But other than that, I don't know if a Jamal Murray trade would happen, but I thought I'd include it on my top targets because why not? I feel like Jamal Murray could be just very interesting. There might not be a more hated player than Jamal Murray here in Minnesota. But I just think the irony of this would be kind of funny. Like, I do think if this trade would happen, it would, yeah, again, it would be Randall. And in this case, I do think Aaron Gordon would probably be traded because then you'd have Randall replace Gordon. And I think you could trade Gordon and maybe a pick or something for then a replacement of a point guard. I don't know who that might be, but we're just going to do this trade. I do think they could consider taking Dante DiVincenzo again to make the salary work. And then again, they'd get that pick. Who knows? Like, I don't know if this works. I haven't actually tried it. It does. So, like, all this trade package and a first round pick, it works financially for all the big point guards out there. I even think it might even work for Kawhi Leonard, which I'm like, if you have this nice little package that works, like, definitely consider it, but you got to make sure you're getting the best return possible. So the Clippers will get Dante, Randall, and that first for Kawhi Leonard, who is making $50 million for 1 year. Then he'd be a free agent. So then you have money for the next offseason, which again could be interesting. And again, this trade would work. So you're in a really good situation. The Timberwolves are in a good situation. They have flexibility. They can go all in for Giannis and Kyrie. They could go in for like a Kawhi. They could go in for anybody. I would love to see them try to go get Steph. Obviously, I think that's a bit of a reach. Probably a big reach. But I'm just throwing ideas out there because they have so much flexibility, and I think it's a really cool thing. Before we go to ceiling and floor and wrap the video up today, I like to go on to fanspo.com here, and we're still on Fanspo. But take a look at what people are putting into the trade finders. I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be a lot of Giannis, Ja, maybe Kyrie. But if there's any players that I haven't mentioned, like maybe an MPJ trade or something like that, I definitely like to just kind of, scroll a little bit here and give you some of my thoughts on some of these trades here. By the way, dude, I just gotta keep saying this Timberwolves logo. It's sick, bro. It's sick. But it is really nice. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who do you think is the most realistic trade target for? Oh my gosh. Oh no, dude, it's this De'Aaron Fox. Oh, De'Aaron Fox. Okay, I take that back. De'Aaron Fox is the player I want the least. If the Timberwolves end up getting De'Aaron Fox or John Morant, that might be the worst scenario ever. But again, here, this is what the Bucks would want for Giannis. Again, they don't want Baron J. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. It's Shannon actually included, but whatever. I pressed the wrong button. Hold up. But I mean, I get the logic here. It's like, what, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, Phillips, Shannon, Baron J., Reed, and McDaniels. I think that's too much. I don't think they'd do Baron J. Maybe you throw in Julian Phillips, okay, and take out Baron J. Maybe. I'd be fine with that. But, yeah, it's very interesting to see what actually his trade value is going to be. This would have them getting Derek White. I don't actually want Derek White because we have a shooting guard. I need a point guard. If we're getting a guard, I want a point guard, right? This one have, again, Derek White. I don't love it. Here's Kyrie again, and it would be that Dante and Randall. So again, that kind of makes sense. This would have the Suns getting Julius Randle, Morant and Grayson Allen going to the Timberwolves, DiVincenzo at first, 2 seconds, and Randall going to the Suns, Jalen Green going to the Grizzlies. I like the fit. I like Green going to the Grizzlies. I do like that fit for sure. It's just kind of the same old targets. Okay, Edwards is not going. No, there's no way. I'm scrolling off of that. Timberwolves perfect offseason. Here's the Timberwolves perfect offseason. Let's take a look at the perfect offseason. Conley going to the Lakers. Murphy, Bay connect. And 3 second-round picks going to the Timberwolves. And then they re-sign Poulin, Freeman, Clark, Highland, Dosunmu. They get Kobe White. Okay, I don't hate that. And then Dean Wade. That's not terrible. Then they get Randall. And then Kyle Anderson goes to the Hornets. That's not their perfect offseason. Holy cow. Heck no to that. My goodness. Is that LeBron? LeBron going to the T-Wolves? Bro, that's crazy. Where's LeBron at? LeBron signing 1 year, $30 million with the Timberwolves. They get Trey Jones, Noah Clowney, Dosunmu. I mean, you don't give up much. I'm like, hey, bring the king. bring the king to Minnesota. No, I'm okay. I'm all right. All right, so people are kind of thinking the same thing. And again, it's the same people over and over again, just in different trade packages, different teams. But let me know again who you guys think should be the top targets for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I really do think Io still should be your number one target, and then Giannis, and then Kyrie. Probably those are your top three. But other than that, it kind of depends. I just think you have to make this team better. I don't think Julius Randle should be on the team next year. But who knows what happens? Only the coaches know what they're actually interested in. So it's going to be interesting to see what Tim Conley, general manager of the T-Wolves, do in these upcoming weeks. But thank you guys so much for watching. Actually, we're not done. We got ceiling and floor, 2 bullet points. There's going to be 2 bullet points here on the next slide, stating their ceiling if they do or don't do the moves that I suggested. So bam, without the moves I suggested, I think this team is a Western Conference Finals team still. That's their ceiling. Obviously, they could fall anywhere below that, but I think their ceiling is reaching the Western Conference Finals. But with the moves I make, with the moves that I suggested, getting Giannis, re-signing Io, maybe getting Kyrie, I don't know. It's one of those bigger moves, one of those star moves. It turns this team into a contender. I think what you have to figure out is how do you make your team better to be more competitive against the Thunder and the Spurs? Because those two teams are going to be the teams that you're going to have the most trouble against. I think they can beat the Knicks in a 7-game series. I think they can beat almost anybody in the East in a 7-game series. It's really the two teams that scare me a little bit. We know they can beat the Nuggets. I think they could probably beat the Spurs if they were fully healthy. Thunder, it just kind of depends on the day. So you got to make it going into the series. Okay, we can definitely beat them. We have the potential to beat them. I don't know, just because of Julius Randle. I think if you get rid of Julius Randle and you get a good piece, you become a contender. That's just what I'm saying. You're a Western Conference team with Julius Randle as a ceiling, but your ceiling without Randle, I believe, is a contender. That's going to kind of be how I view it. Let me know if you guys think that, or if you think this team is going to take a major step back. Maybe they sell, rebuild, Edwards gets traded. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't want that to happen, but, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll get back to you guys as soon as possible. Love to have these conversations. Like the video, hype the video, hit that like button and subscribe button. Come back tomorrow. We'll get the Houston Rockets tomorrow on June 22nd, 2026. We'll go back to every Tuesday and every Thursday episode starting in July after this 30 teams and 30 days series wraps up. Thank you guys so much for joining into thank you for joining another episode of 30 Teams in 30 Days. Let me know how many of these episodes have you watched. If you watched all of them, let me know and I'll give you a special shout out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe button. Turn the notification bell button on so you never miss any episodes. And again, we got the Rockets, Cavs, and Knicks coming up in the next couple of days. Appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Don't forget to keep God first because He's the most important thing in your lives. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.